Good evening and welcome, and a call to order the regular meeting of the Elk Grove Unified School Board at 6:04 p.m. and announce that the board met in closed session and that no action was taken. Today's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on the district's YouTube channel. Blue cards are available at the table just outside of the boardroom for anyone who wishes to address the board. If you wish to address the board, please please complete a card and hand it to a staff member. In that card, please indicate whether you wish to address a matter that is on the agenda or not on the agenda. If the matter you'd like to address is on the agenda, we're going to hold on to your card until that item comes up. First item of business is always the Pledge of Allegiance. Today we will be led by one of our education partners, Mrs. Marion Pratt from T.R. Smedberg Middle School, who will please come up to the podium, and she will be joined by Richard Wall, principal, and my colleague Beth Albiani is going to let all the good folks here know why we've asked you to lead the flag salute today.
Hi. T.R. Smedberg Middle School is honored to recognize Marion Pratt as our education partner. Mrs. Pratt works diligently to make a difference for all kids at all grade levels in schools and in the community. Marion Pratt has 3 great kids: Helen, who is an 11th grader at Sheldon High School, Eleanor, who is a 9th grader at Sheldon High School, and Laddie, who is a 7th grader at Smedberg Middle School. Mrs. Pratt began her service to schools 8 years ago when she became a member of the School Site Council and served as the council's chairperson. At the same time, she became active in David Reese, where she served 3 years as the secretary and 4 years as the PTA president. When her kids transitioned to middle school, Mrs. Pratt also made the transition, becoming involved with the School Site Council at Smedberg Middle School, even becoming chairperson of the School Site Council there as well. Additionally, she served last year as a member of the Sheldon High School's School Site Council. At the district level, Mrs. Pratt has served on the District Advisory Committee for 5 years, all of which she was the committee chair. She has also served in the past 6 years as a representative on the superintendent's parent advisory committee. Along with all this work, Mrs. Pratt has worked in the district as a volunteer, substitute para-educator, and school site parent liaison. Mrs. Pratt's involvement in the lives of kids extends into the community, where she's an active leader with Girl Scout Troop 3842 and an assistant scoutmaster with Boy Scout Troop and Crew 007. When she's not busy with all of this, she enjoys shooting sports, baking, gardening, and crafts. Mrs. Pratt, T.R. Smedberg Middle School thanks you for all your dedication and service to not only our students, but the students of other schools and the children in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, if you'd all please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Pratt. Don't walk away yet. Miss Albiani's headed down there to give you a little token of our appreciation. Thank you again, Mrs. Pratt. Next up, we're going to have our high school student representative reports. Today we have Elk Grove and Pleasant Grove High Schools joining us. First up, let's hear from Elk Grove High School.
Good evening, President Chidas Espinoza, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Alex Taniguchi.
And I'm Madison Monroe.
This school year is one of many changes for Elk Grove High School. Last year, we said our goodbyes to former principal, Miss Guy, and welcomed Dr. Christmas. We're excited to see our traditions and new developments arise throughout the rest of the school year.
Our school has been extremely focused on academics, even when we found out our science wing is entirely under construction. The staff here has been dedicated to helping students focus on academic achievements since the beginning of the school year. With our back to school night on August 30th, this night allows parents and guardians to see our campus and meet their students' teachers. It also offers an opportunity for them to sign up to volunteer at various school events throughout the year.
Our annual Renaissance signups were held on August 28th through the 30th. During Renaissance, students were given various rewards for their academic achievement from their GPA of the spring semester. Students can be rewarded for GPAs of 3.0, 3.5, 4.0 and above, and getting a 0.5 increase from the previous semester. This year, we are proud to say that we've had more than 200 students from each grade level qualify for one of the categories. We were grateful to have our PTSO help distribute these rewards.
On July 17th through the 19th, our seniors united together to paint the senior steps and mural. These steps are in front of our Cartwright gym, and the mural is showcased at the west entrance of our school. These displays of class spirit are admired by all students, staff, and visitors to our school. Our theme for the steps and mural is retro video games. This is also shown through our senior shirts with Pac-Man references. We worked very hard on these steps. We united as a class. We even got sunburnt together.
Our Link Crew orientation for the incoming freshman class of 2022 was held on August 1st and 2nd. Our Link Crew leaders, consisting of 60 juniors and seniors, came together to welcome the class to our Thundering Herd family. Link Crew leaders wore the Incredibles t-shirts and used this theme to focus on the uniqueness of each incredible individual. On the second night of our two-day event, Link Crew hosted a dance for all the leaders and incoming freshmen. By the end of the night, our freshmen reveal their true dance moves and are usually better than most of our Link Crew leaders. To get prepared for the incoming school year, our amazing counseling staff helped put on our annual Herd Roundup Day, where students could come together to take school ID pictures, get their schedules, class t-shirts, and lockers. Our first day of school was on August 16th and was a huge success thanks to our staff and Link Crew leaders who helped freshmen get adjusted to their new surroundings at Elk Grove High School.
To kick off the seniors' last first day of school, we joined together at 6:30 a.m. in our football stadium to welcome in our last year together. At this event, the seniors enjoyed music, games, raffles, and food, especially the free donuts. This event was attended by over 350 seniors and was a morning full of memories and celebration.
To get into the herd spirit, our Welcome Back rally on August 24th focused on connecting all students through games, music, chants, and performances by our cheer teams, Rhythmical Madness dance team, and our marching band. Our Welcome Back dance was held later that evening and never fails to be one of the most attended dances.
On August 31st, we held our senior barbecue at Elk Grove Park. This all-day event was dedicated to unifying our graduating class of 2019 through a barbecue lunch, field games, contests, music, and our annual lip sync competition.
Our first Herd Pride Day of the semester was held this past Saturday. This event is open to all students and staff willing to volunteer their time to better our campus. At this event, we joined to clean and beautify the campus through picking up trash throughout the school, wiping windows, and helping in any way we can.
On September 5th, an event called Club Rush was held at our lunch in order to publicize our clubs and encouraging students to join. Students were able to sign up for any of our 30-plus clubs and our blood drive. Our first blood drive of the year was held on September 10th. This was a success as we had 91 participants and 65 of them were first-time donors. We collected 62 life-saving pints of blood that are now in the lab being processed for transfusion.
The organizations at our school are also very hard at work. Our Future Farmers of America, or FFA Academy, has more than 400 members this year. Their most recent event was the third grade field day, held on September 27th and the 28th. This event invited elementary schools from our district to interact with our animals and learn about various agricultural aspects at our school farm.
Our Technology and Digital Arts Academy has been very busy this school year. On September 4th and 6th, an ice cream social was held for all Academy students, and on September 20th, they held their own Unity Day.
Our ASB team as well has been hard at work on homecoming, which is around the corner on October 13th. The week of homecoming is full of activities from Spirit Days to our annual Powder Puff game and ending with our Elk Grove High School parade. In preparation for this upcoming parade, each class is working hard on designing and constructing their floats made of tissue paper and a whole lot of glue.
It's football season, so that means yummy food and crazy spirit. To kick off this season, we've had 2 successful tailgates, one dedicated to the freshmen and the other to the seniors. Here, they enjoyed free food, drinks, music, and the company of each other. During senior tailgate, the seniors danced and chanted as they followed behind the drumline into the stadium. It was so much fun.
The spirit has been carried to many other sports teams, including women's tennis, volleyball, and cross country. The student section has been packed at each sporting event with balloons, posters, and unifying our students together by wearing matching attire.
President Chidas Espinoza, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos, thank you so much for your time and consideration this evening. We hope that you will join us for our upcoming herd activities. We invite you to watch our homecoming parade on October 12th. It begins at 1 p.m. on Elk Grove Florin, starting at our high school and ending at Joseph Kerr Middle School. We would love to showcase our amazing programs and the hard work we put into each class's float design. We look forward to our next report with you. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Next up, let's hear from Pleasant Grove High School.
Good evening, President Charas Espinoza, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Mrs. Avalos. My name is Abenezer Shankut,
And my name is Amanda Pangelinan.
and we're from Pleasant Grove High School, and we are honored to be here tonight.
Pleasant Grove High School has been off to a very productive and enthusiastic start. About 435 seniors, 487 juniors, and 517 sophomores qualified for Renaissance, which is an academic incentive program that rewards our students for all the hard work they achieved the previous semester. They receive awards such as free homework passes, get what you can passes, and final waivers. Currently, we are in the process of sign-ups for academic awards. Students with a 3.67 GPA or higher qualify to be recognized during the ceremony on October 15th.
Our senior Eagles have been having a fun and exciting year so far. They woke up early on August 16th to participate in our annual Senior Sunrise. There, seniors were given the opportunity to win free yearbooks, free senior ball tickets, and free spirit wear. Our senior barbecue was held September 6th, where all of our seniors enjoyed their day off and got to know each other better.
Our ASB class has been working very hard to make the 2018 to 2019 school year one to remember. Our back-to-school rally was held on August 24th to welcome back our students and set the vibe for the rest of the year, where we had fun games such as Steal the Bacon, a relay race, and Lick the Peanut Butter off the glass. We also had amazing performances by Soul Purpose Cheer and our PG Band.
Club Rush was on September 12th, where 40 clubs participated in recruiting new members for the upcoming year. Food Fair was on September 27th, where our club sold delicious foods like pizza, tacos, boba, and much more to help fundraise money to support all club activities on campus. Along with Food Fair, we welcomed our parents to enjoy lunch with their children. It was a fun and delicious afternoon.
Our first Unity Day was held on September 20th, where 150 of our Eagles got together and spent the day getting to know each other and themselves better. The purpose of Unity Days are to reflect and realize that we are not alone. We shall all unite as a class and a community to help better the world and each other.
Our theater production is currently working hard on the play of Our Town. It is a love story about a woman who dies of childbirth and she reflects on her life. Shows begin on November 8th. We would love if the board would come and witness our Eagles' amazing talent.
Currently, our school is in homecoming mode. This year's theme is musicals. The freshmen are High School Musical, the sophomores are The Greatest Showman, juniors are Wizards of Oz, and the seniors are Grease. Last Friday, we held our annual homecoming rally where we announced who made our royalty through fun games and amazing performances by Soul Purpose, cheer, and bands. Our Eagles have been working long hours to complete all of the floats and organize all of the homecoming festivities. In addition to the 4 class floats, we have a 5th float which incorporates all of the themes together. It is a representation of a movie theater scene where it says, "Enjoy the show." The parade will be held this upcoming Friday and the dance is on Saturday. We can't wait to dance the night away.
At this very moment, our women's volleyball team is competing against St. Francis in the league championship. Regardless of tonight's results, our volleyball team will qualify for playoffs. Our women's golf team is doing tremendous work as well. The team is currently undefeated and hope to keep the streak going. Our Powder Puff game is this Wednesday, where we will watch the exciting game of freshmen versus sophomores and juniors versus seniors, as well as enjoy an exciting performance from our Powder Puff cheerleaders.
Thank you for listening, and we both are excited to show off our school for this one last year. Go Eagles!
Thank you. Nice job, students. I'd also like to recognize the principals from Elk Grove High School, Dr. Eugene Christmas, who I saw in the back somewhere. Did we lose you? There he is. And Pleasant Grove High School, Tegan Keplinger. Students, you're free to get back to that homework. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the introduction of new administrators, and this item will be presented by David Riley.
Good evening. Yeah. Good evening, President Chairez Espinosa, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. It's my pleasure this evening to continue what we started last meeting when we introduced our new our pre-K 6 administrators. This evening we'll be introducing district support administration as well as new administrators from the secondary division. So as our new administrators make our way down, meet each of our board members, and then we'll gather over here for the photo opportunity. We're going to start this evening by introducing Mr. Stephen Aldag, formerly Programmer Analyst 3 in Technology Services, now serving as Application Support and Programming Manager. Next, we have Lucy Bollinger, Director of English Language Services, formerly K-12 English Learner Coordinator in Sonoma Valley Unified School District. Next, we have Nicole Brown, District Head Counselor, formerly a counselor at Monterey Trail High School. Next, we have Gerardo Castillo, our Budget Manager, formerly Chief Business Officer in Sacramento City Unified. Next, we have Kenitra Lopez, our Legal Compliance Specialist in Human Resources, formerly Human Resources Manager Talent Acquisition in St. Hope Public Schools. Next, Trish Pacheco, Accounting Manager, formerly Business Manager, Southgate Park and Recreation District. Next, we have Matt Sanchez, our Director of Transportation, formerly Director of Transportation in Rockland Unified School District. And then we have Carrie Vandestar, Director, Human Resources, formerly Principal in Stockton Unified School District. Now moving into our secondary division, we have C. Norma Alston, now serving in Harriet Eddy Middle School as Vice Principal, formerly Teacher in Charge at Joseph Kerr Middle School. Next we have Amy Bessler, Director, Secondary Education, formerly Principal, Bear River High School, Nevada Joint Union High School District. We have Jesse Champion, Vice Principal, Cosumnes Oaks High School, formerly Teacher in Charge, Vice Principal at Cosumnes Oaks High School. We have Omar Carrion, Vice Principal, Pleasant Grove High School, formerly Assistant Principal, Liberty Union High School District. We have John Dixon, Director, Secondary Education, formerly Director, Professional Learning and School Support from Folsom Cordova Unified School District. Are we out of order? We have Justin Harmon, Vice Principal, Laguna Creek High School, formerly Teacher in Charge, Laguna Creek High School. We have Andrew Johnson, Vice Principal, Valley High School, formerly Teacher in Charge, James Rudder Middle School. Next, we have Bridget Kemp Bell, Vice Principal, Valley High School. Valley High School is in the house here. Formerly Instructional Coach, Curriculum and Professional Learning. Next, we have Tegan Keplinger, Principal, Pleasant Grove High School, formerly Vice Principal, Pleasant Grove High School. Next, we have Jennifer Keyport, Vice Principal, Laguna Creek High School, formerly Science Teacher at Toby Johnson Middle School. Now we have Leticia Magana, Vice Principal, Monterey Trail High School, formerly Assistant Principal, St. Hope Public Schools. Next, we have Aaron Munoz, Vice Principal, Sheldon High School, formerly Teacher in Charge, Sheldon High School. Now we have Craig Murray, Assistant Superintendent of Schools, Secondary Education, formerly Executive Director, Student Engagement, Twin Rivers Unified School District. Next, we have David Pierce, Vice Principal, Sheldon High School, formerly teacher at Ronald McNair High School and Lodi Unified School District. Next, we have Sonia Quinones Rambo, Principal, James Rudder Middle School, formerly Principal, Riverview Middle School, River Delta Unified School District. And next, we have Brandy Spar, Program Administrator, Teacher in Charge, Elk Grove High School, formerly Teacher in Charge, Elk Grove High School. And lastly, we have Jacqueline Woldridge, Vice Principal, Cosumnes Oaks High School, formerly Curricular Teacher on Special Assignment in Twin Rivers Unified School District. So we welcome our new administrators or administrators in new positions. You want to get in there? I think he had been introduced before, but this is Dr. Christmas, Principal, Elk Grove High School.
Thank you. Next item, Mr. Riley, is Week of the School Administrator.
Yes, hello again. Research has demonstrated that district and school leadership is one of the significant dynamics of schools and districts where high achievement occurs for all students, regardless of socioeconomic factors, home language, or ethnic diversity. Therefore, in recognition of the dedicated efforts of school and district administrators to make a difference in the lives of children and to support the work of the teachers and the support staff who work in our schools, the state of California has identified the week of October 7 through 13, 2018 as the Week of the School Administrator via Ed Code 44015.1. The Elk Grove Unified School District Board of Education is asked to approve the attached resolution.
Thank you. I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt resolution number 30, which recognizes the week of October 7th through 13th as the Week of the Administrator in Elk Grove Unified School District.
So move.
Moved by Dr. Martinez O'Leary, seconded by Mr. Bettis. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Riley. Next up, Mr. Don Ross will present on the resolution for Red Ribbon Week.
Good evening, President Charles Espinoza, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. The Board of Education is requested to recognize the efforts of teachers, staff, and administrators in support of Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd through the 31st, as part of the district-wide prevention program that encompasses education and positive youth development. Red Ribbon Week is the oldest and largest proactive drug prevention program in the country. It is an awareness campaign designed to warn students about the dangers of alcohol, tobacco, and other drug use so they will choose to live drug-free lives and overcome these barriers. Throughout the week, messages are delivered in various creative ways. They involve our student leaders in planning these activities. This recognition will declare the district's support of this campaign to create awareness of substance abuse problems and other research-based prevention programs. The board is asked to approve this resolution tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. I'd like to call for a motion to adopt Resolution 21, recognizing the efforts of teachers, staff, and administrators in support of Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd through 31st, 2018. Moved by Ms. Albiani. Seconded by Mr. Bettis. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. That passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Ross. And you have one more, National Bullying Prevention Month.
All right, October is National Bullying Prevention Month. This is a nationwide campaign started by Pacers National Bullying Prevention Center in 2006. The campaign reaches out to communities, schools, and families around the world to educate the need to keep kids safe in school. Many of our schools start their bullying prevention efforts the day school starts. Several schools started this year with a PBIS kickoff. This event lays the foundation for a positive school culture and expectations of mutual respect. Our elementary schools continue to emphasize and teach stop, walk, and talk, and our middle and high schools expect respect. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Fikert Elementary School and their Student Unity Council led by Patty Zanetti for taking first place in California PBIS Coalition for their bullying prevention video, Stop, Walk, and Talk. Well done, Fikert Elementary. We are also offering trainings on bullying prevention through our Family Wellness Series. And last week we had 2 workshops on creating safe and supportive schools for our LGBTQ students. And on October 20th, our Saturday seminar, Partners in Practice, will feature workshops on bullying prevention. And finally, Elk Grove will participate in the 5th annual Bullying Prevention Rally at the California Unity Center on October 17th. 60 students from Sierra Enterprise and Roy Herberger will participate in this great event. The board will be receiving a follow-up communication on all of the activities our schools will be doing for National Bullying Month. Tonight, I ask the board to recognize October as National Bullying Prevention Month.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. We have a few individuals wishing to speak on this item in public comment. So first up will be Ms. Lily Devaney. And same rules apply for public comment on this item as regular public comment. 3 minutes, and the board is not able to respond or engage to any public comment.
Good evening again. I wanted to start off with a story. So my son is really big for his age. In 3rd grade, yes, I'm going all the way back to 3rd grade, he was all arms and legs. And he was playing during recess, accidentally hit another child in the face, gave him a bloody nose. That child and his friends went to the office and said, my son punched him in the face. So I get a call that my son's been suspended for punching someone in the face, and knowing my child, that just didn't sit right with me. So I requested, first I went and spoke to the VP, got the story from him that he had conducted an interview with the victim and 3 of the victim's friends all together, not individually, and they all had the same story. Didn't even ask my son what happened, none of my son's friends. None of that sat right with me. So Principal Neves, Mr. Dave Neves, awesome principal, he was not there that day, so the next day I went in and I requested him to reopen the investigation because he knows my child very well, and he agreed that that just didn't seem right. Lo and behold, all the children involved claimed that they all lied. My son just, all arms and legs, kind of whacked the kid in the face backwards, didn't even know he did it. And the point of my telling that story is a lot of parents are scared to do what I did and ask for another investigation. They're scared to speak up. They just kind of, okay, I guess my kid did it. And I'm not one of those parents, obviously. If I hadn't have spoken up, my son would have lost faith in me as his parent, would have lost faith in the school district, the adults that are supposed to be standing up for him. And so telling you this story, the point is, that's kind of what I'm asking for, is what Mr. Neves did to my son is what I think should be happening to these other kids that that bullying is happening to. If it's a severe situation like a suspension for being punched in the face or all the other situations I've shared with you before, we should be looking at this on a case-by-case basis, and I understand it's going to take more time for the administrators to do that, more effort from the administrators to do that, but I feel not just my son, but all the children are worth that, and I would think the administrators and the board as well would agree with me that that's worth it. So, I actually didn't get out of time. That's all for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vaney. Next up, Carol Rogers. And Carol will be followed by Allegra Taylor.
Good evening, and I welcome this resolution, and I would like to see better implementation of bullying prevention than happens. The implicit bias within this district has caused numerous black children to suffer greatly under assumptions that they had done something that they did not do. And so I would ask that whatever training on bullying prevention that you have, that you consider making sure everyone gets it. I don't think all the teachers get it. I don't think all the vice principals get it. I know a couple of principals who, in fact, do understand about bullying prevention and try to model that and get that through their schools. I think it ties in nicely with the next resolution about safe and positive learning environment for all. We do not have that yet on many, many, if not all campuses in Elk Grove. And so we need and ask that you carefully implement school, I know you're working on board policies in this regard, implement policies that will utilize fully the school discipline process first and allow all parties to consider things like no contact contracts if there are 2 parties involved in an incident, and to actually investigate and ask both sides of the issue. So oftentimes the person that gets blamed for hitting is the second person to strike out. The first person struck out and no one noticed. They noticed the second person. So you really have to investigate those kinds of incidents more fully. I know that my granddaughter gets bullied, And often, well, she has my permission to hit back in certain instances, and one was a boy grabbing her butt. She threw an orange at him, and I think she broke his nose. But someone investigated that fully and understood that she was a victim acting in self-defense. And so we've got to find out the truth of these incidents and allow parents to be involved, to call that parent in and let them speak up for their child or be present when their child is questioned. And further, I don't think it's appropriate to call in law enforcement without the parent being there. That's intimidation and bullying of a young man that occurred on the Cosumnes Oaks campus. By having 3 law enforcement officers stand over him and tell him that he had to sign a citation on a citizen's arrest without his mother being present, or he was going to go to jail. And that was a bullying incident. We think of the bullying as just being between kids. Staff do it to the kids too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Since she brought up staff, I'm gonna pick up there. Not only does staff sometimes bully youth, bully our kids too, or are insensitive to the needs of our kids, which is another form of bullying and neglect. But they also misclassify black women, black parents that come in to complain as bullies, or they want to classify us as militant or intimidating. I've been told that I'm intimidating. So I'm working on not looking intimidating, but I don't know how much I can do to change the way I look and the way I speak. So don't know how that works out. So bullying. Seeing as though that we know that this is something that's against the law, I'm glad that you guys are taking this seriously, but we want you to look at all forms of bullying. We want you to recognize the little innocent one, the little small kid, you know, little Johnny. He's the one that sneaks and get away with everything that the teacher never sees. That's the bully that we want you to see, because the bullies are not always portrayed as the big oversized kid. That kid is usually the clumsy kid, the quiet kid, the kid that everybody sees first, and then that kid is labeled the bully. I know that firsthand because that's what happened to my son. But in fact, he was the victim of bullying by the little bitty kids. So when you're looking at bullying, you need to look full spectrum. So when you say that this is going to be a month of recognizing bullying, then it should also be a month of educating your staff, educating your students, and educating your parents, the community, about what bullying is. How is it that it is against the law? Give some examples of what those things are, and then we need to get some implementation. When kids are being bullied, it sticks with them for the rest of their life. They never forget that. They never live it down, and they never feel that they can reach to the standard that they can if they're not rebuilt in their self-esteem or the hurt that was placed upon them during the time that they were being bullied. So I'm going to ask that you ask your staff, your administrators at the schools, when they're looking at bullying, look at the full spectrum of bullying. And don't forget about little Johnny. He's usually real quiet off in the corner. He'll hit and then smile at you and pretend like he didn't do nothing. And the other person is responding, and that's the kid that's going to get in trouble. So the full spectrum of bullying, and stop trying to make us out to be bullies, because we're not bullies. We're just here to demand some changes, and we're here to work with you to get those changes. And we don't like being classified as bullies. We were in a meeting at one of your schools, and Lorene was classified as a bully. So when we're here to hold somebody accountable, that's not bullying, that's accountability. And there is a difference. We just want to make that real clear. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to call for a motion to adopt.
Before we take a motion, may I say a few words? Thank you. As many of you know, I'm a mother of a child who was bullied when he was in the 6th grade, and it is an issue that I take very seriously. I'm happy to say that, 7 years ago, before I was on this board, and I think only one person was here, and that's Mr. Madison. Everybody else is since then. We weren't doing enough at all. But we have made significant progress, but I recognize we still have a lot more work ahead of us. But I am proud of the work that we've done through PBIS, so I want to recognize our staff for the work that you are doing. It's not 100%, it's not foolproof, nothing is. But as we learn, we grow and we evolve, and we adapt and implement accordingly. So I want to recognize the work that we are doing. And I also believe that our online reporting is going to make a big difference in being able to report those incidents when they occur, so that there isn't fear of intimidation and retaliation, as well as the work with our educational equity. It will tie into bullying as well, and we're making a lot of great progress. So it does take time. It is a process. And this does tie into, of course, item number 4 with our safe and positive learning environment, as well as, I would say, even within the Native American Heritage Month and the Sikh Awareness Month, I will be addressing it on that item. But I know members of my community have been bullied for decades, more so after September the 11th. And so I'll address some of my comments there, but I do want to recognize the work that we're doing, and also recognize and appreciate Ms. Devaney for the work that you do providing comfort and resources to parents. It is, when I was a mom, when I wasn't on this dais, it can be a very lonely journey. It can be a journey of not knowing who's listening, who cares, what resources are available. The more we streamline these resources and make them available to our students, our parents, as well as staff, will make a big difference in addressing bullying. Because bullying is just one form of, with racism, intimidation, harassment, those are all many forms of bullying. So we're definitely, willing to do the work, and thank you again for your continued patience. And thank you for staff for working diligently on improving all of the work that we do in our district. With that, I'll move the motion.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, sir. Just quick note, let's make sure we're speaking to the item and not responding to any of the public comment, okay?
I also echo those comments. I think this whole board here echoes that. You don't see it, but under closed doors over here, we're very concerned about that issue. A lot of things that we come up and that you're not aware that we talk about this important issue, it is brought up behind closed doors and meetings that we have, not here in front of you, but within meetings one-on-one with board members, talking to our superintendent and staff here, and also our police force. So, and we're out there in the community watching with our ears, seeing what's going on at the elementary, junior high, and high school levels. So we might not seem that we're that 100% concerned, but we are 101% concerned about this big issue. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'd like to call for a motion to adopt. You did move it, sorry. Okay, moved by Ms. Allen. I think I heard Mr. Bettis' second first. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Next up, Ms. Sue Larson is going to present the resolution on the safe and positive learning environment.
Good evening, President Chairez Espinosa, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. Resolution 27 reaffirms the district's commitment to our constitutional mandate to educate all students living within our jurisdictional boundaries, regardless of their immigration status. That all students have a right to attend school free of bullying, intimidation, and discrimination, and that schools are welcoming places for all families. The board is asked to approve Resolution 27 that confirms the Elk Grove Unified School District as a safe and positive learning environment for all.
Seeing no comments, I'm going to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 27. Moved by Mr. Madison.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Singh Allen. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Measure passes. I apologize. I neglected to call public comment on this item, so if we can do that at this time. Apologize for my oversight. Ms. Pryor, if you'd like to come up first, and I have Ms. Rogers who will come up next. Sorry. Yeah, you did. I wrote it down and I skipped it. I'm sorry.
Good evening. So when we're talking about safe environments for all students, again, I need us to start to figure out how we're going to tackle those suspension and expulsion numbers for Black kids. This week alone, between last week and this week, I've gotten 6 complaints from kids from your campuses, ranging from teacher targeting to bullying on school buses to students being mishandled by your campus supervisors. And I'm trying to figure what type of environment we're trying to create when we have administrators who are falsifying documents and not getting the whole story from both sides, and then taking what they think to be the truth and writing that up and having that become part of the permanent record. What are we doing about that, and what is the punishment or the consequence for falsifying information? And then I want us to look at how we are responding to students that we are already viewing in a specific lens, from a biased lens, how we are subjecting them to harsher punishments or consequences than their counterparts. I heard this week from a family, they say that their student was put up for expulsion and the district approved it, only to have an advocate go to the school. They say that there was a video. The video has mysteriously gone missing, but it says the video shows that the other child hit the child in question first. He's at school, the one who hit first. The second student can't return to school until January. So what type of environment are we co-signing when we don't hold the children responsible for their behavior, both children, or the child in question, or get the full story of who did what first before we make a determination saying that a child is a danger to this environment and he needs to be banned? I have a problem with that. PBIS is great. The implementation of it is problematic, and your staff and your administrators are not implementing it equitably, and that is a concern. So you guys will continue to hear from me on this. Every time I get a complaint, we do send an email, and we just give a courtesy email to let you know we are involved with yet another family. So just know that these feel-good moments are great, but the implementation on the ground is problematic, and we're going to continue to hold folks accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pryor. Ms. Carol Rogers also wanted to speak on this item.
I will be brief. I applaud the intent of this resolution. I second the comments that Ms. Pryor's been making, and I can say as the mother of a Black man who's now 42 and raising his own kids, that he went through a lot of this kind of implicit bias when he was going through the educational system in Oakland. This thing is pervasive throughout this country, the implicit bias and bullying that goes on towards Black children, the assumption that they're older than they are. He was 13 riding the bus, and people thought he was a teenager. They were challenging him on his youth pass. So I'm saying that we assume something more and different and older and more, more decisive and more adult out of the Black kids than they are. They're kids just like the rest of these kids. And you have to see them as minor children, not as adult thugs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Next up, Ms. Alicia Cannon will present the resolution on Native American Heritage Month. No? Yeah, we finished that one. I just did it out of order. Sorry, Sue.
Good evening, President Chairez Espinoza, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I'm Alicia Canning. I'm a program specialist in learning support services, and I have the pleasure of overseeing our Native American education program here in the district. The Board of Education is requested to adopt resolution number 25 that designates September 2018 as Native American Heritage Month. Throughout the year, the contributions of Native Americans are presented in the regular curriculum. However, this special focus one month serves as a reminder of the combined contributions of this group. I would like to invite Dr. Chrisman and his family, and also Lisa and Matthew Begay to join me. I think those are all the members of our parent committee who are here. Mr. Chrisman and his children have been involved in our program for all of their school careers. And Mr. Chrisman serves on our parent committee. It's a pleasure to have him here. Ms. Begay. And Mr. Begay also serve on our parent committee. And they have a little one that's going to come all the way through. I had the pleasure of seeing their son graduate last spring.
Tiny.
The Elk Grove School District has a robust Native American education program, and we have served over 260 students this year, and we've been active for over 20 years in this district. The program provides a wide variety of learning opportunities for our students, including cultural classes, academic support, college visits, field trips, and a summer program. We also provide two major community events each year: our Fall Welcome, where we welcome our families back, our new families, and all of our community partners. That was last week. It was a wonderful evening. I enjoyed it, visiting with our families and community. In addition, we host our spring gathering each year where we celebrate our student successes and our graduates and our promoters. Our program is strong and thriving, and that's thanks to this Board of Education supporting our program, also to the local tribes who support us, and all of our community partners. I thank you for this opportunity to bring this resolution forward to you tonight.
Thank you very much. Dr. Martinez-Alier, did you have some comments?
Yes, I do. Again, I'd like to thank you all for being here today, and it's a pleasure to see all you. It's an honor, again, to be able to serve and represent the community also in this capacity. I think the recognition of Native American Month is extremely important. It's not just a month, it's ongoing, right? When we look at our history and the historical trauma that our people have endured for centuries, and also the local tribes in the region of being Miwok, you know, and I think to see that program flourish and continue to grow, I'm really happy and proud of all the families and the children that are here. And again, it's an honor to have this day recognized again continuously, and the work that our tribal governments and our nations that are doing. We always say when we're looking at involving and having and continuing the culture programs, we always call the different family members or other cultures of diversity all my relations, and we mean that as an inclusive way of everybody helping us and working together collaboratively. So again, I thank you for being here tonight, and the parents and the children, because they are our future generations and will be our leaders one day. So thank you.
Anybody else? Yes?
Yeah,
Mr. Madison?
I would like to add too, it was a pleasure attending the fall gathering last week. Superintendent Hoffman and board member Frachina, which is not here tonight, and myself. It was just wonderful. Beautiful people, and your work is well thought of. Thank you.
Did you have something?
I'd like to just make a motion to approve.
Moved by Dr. Singh-Allen, seconded by Mr. Madison. All in favor of adopting resolution number 25, designating November 8, 2018 as Native American Heritage Month, please say aye. Aye. I believe that passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
And now we have Ms. Sue Larson back.
Good evening again. This Resolution 26 recognizes and acknowledges the significant contributions made by Californians of Sikh heritage and affords the opportunity for students to understand, recognize, and appreciate the rich history and shared principles of Sikh Americans. The California Department of Education has designated the month of November 2018 as California Sikh American Awareness and Appreciation Month. In doing so, they note that this observance permits the society at large, and the schools in particular, to celebrate the achievements of Sikh Americans and also to re-examine society's role in preserving the civil rights of all its students. I'd like to recognize members of the community. If you would please stand. We have a large crowd tonight.
You wanted to come up?
Thank you.
If you guys wouldn't mind coming up to the front of the room, up here by the podium. They're really heavy.
Wow. Every year it gets bigger. I'm so excited.
We can stay over here by the
Yeah, we
podium
can.
for a sec.
We'll take the picture in a bit.
Yeah.
And I believe there's public comment as well.
Yes, there is public comment. Was that, were you done with that part of your presentation?
My intro, and we can do the public comment and then vote and then
Yeah.
have a picture maybe.
Yeah, okay. So the public comment I have, first up, Palvinder Kaur.
In a time where tolerance is at a low and hate is at an all-time high, it is critical for students to have greater representation. Studies have shown ethnic studies courses improve student outcomes and achievement. This resolution allows for 6 students to be seen on their campuses. While having resolutions like this pass does mean a great deal to the individuals represented, there is also a need to ensure an appropriate implementation plan. We hope we can create a committee or working group with Elk Grove Unified School District to work on the educational curriculum and activities that will be incorporated at all schools in Elk Grove Unified School District. The Jagar Movement, where I'm the Director of Development and Programs, is more than happy to invest the time and energy to ensure these materials are in line within the values of the Sikh community. We know Elk Grove Unified School District believes in grassroots efforts and centers its work around students, and we believe a committee or working group is a critical component of the implementation of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaur. Next up, Gurjitinder Randawa.
Good evening, President Nancy and all board member of school committee. My name is Gurjitinder Randawa. I serve on the Elk Grove Multicultural Committee and Elk Grove Historic Preservation Committee as a commission member. Thank you to the Elk Grove Unified School District for recognizing the important contributions of the Sikh community in California. It is important for students to learn about Sikhs in California. There are thousands of Sikh students that attend your schools. Some of them face bullying because their classmates don't have a better understanding of who we are. It is important to incorporate basic teachings about Sikhism into the classroom so that students can learn more about their classmates and their community. Students should know some basic things. 99% of men who wear turban are Sikh. It is the 5th largest religion in the world. There are over 25 million Sikhs in the world. Turban Sikhs, like myself, still face hate crimes, assaults, and sometimes killings. We still have 2 unsolved murders of 2 elderly turban Sikhs in our city. Recently, a turban Sikh grandfather was attacked by a teenager in Mantika. Another one, turban Sikh, was beaten in the Modesto area. These hate crimes must end. The best way to end hate is to teach tolerance and acceptance of other cultures and people. We are proud Sikh Americans. Our values are your values. Education has an opportunity to teach young kids early so that they grow up to responsible adults. There are many Sikhs proudly serving in the US military, including many who wear their turbans in the US Army. 2 of them are from our local community and sacrificed their life protecting our country. I would like to introduce Mr. Nirmal Singh and his wife, their son. They sacrificed, his son Gurpreet Singh, he sacrificed in Afghanistan. So this is the main thing we have today. Our basic values are the same as your values. We believe in equality, justice, and religion freedom. We appreciate the resolution. Please work harder to teach our students about the contribution of all ethnic groups. We support stronger ethnic studies curriculum. Education should include teaching about all cultures and communities. I want to recognize and thank our sister, community leader Bobby Singh Allen, for her activism in the community. We are proud of her hard work and dedication. We are proud of all the Sikhs who are getting involved in the government, in the country, and the state.
Wrap up.
On behalf of the Sikh community, I want to thank you to the school district. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before I call the next person, our condolences on your loss of your son. Next up, Harjeet Singh.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Harjeet Singh. I'm a community organizer with the nonprofit Jakara movement. I'd like to speak about today's resolution, not just from my experience as a Sikh, but from my experience as an educator. Although I appear young, I've taught high school for a number of years in New York City, Brooklyn to be more specific. And in New York, most of my students, they come from a very different cultural upbringing than I did. And I noticed that it was a turning point in my career when I started to make more of an effort to learn about my students, show that I care about them, and implement aspects of their culture into our daily classes. And I really made it a point that Black history would not be limited to the month of February, but rather would be something that we're incorporating in our curriculum throughout the year. So I hope that with all of these resolutions that are going to be passed today, that these are just a first step for Elk Grove Unified in adopting a more culturally relevant pedagogy. You know, if we want our students to care about their education, we have to first show them that we care about them. And so thank you so much for the opportunity. I look forward to all of us working together in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Next up, Arnav Singh.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Arnav, and I am a 5th grade student at Pleasant Grove Elementary School. Last year, I had a couple of incidents when I was bullied by my classmates and a few other students. I was asked to remove my turban so kids can see what's underneath it. I was told not to enter the cafeteria because hats are not allowed, and they called my turban a hat. Some people told me that I have a ball on top of my head that I am hiding. After all these incidents, one day I came home and spoke with my mom. I asked her if I could leave my hair down and not cover them so my friends could see them and not make fun of me. She mentioned it to our principal, Mrs. Woods, expressed her concerns and asked if she could come and talk to my classmates and explain them the importance of not cutting hair and wearing a turban in our religion. But our principal, Mrs. Woods, asked her to come to the assembly that month so she can explain the entire school, and then my parents and a few other family members prepared a short presentation and talked about our Sikhs at our assembly, explained the 5 kakars, and showed the pictures of boys with long hair, different types of turbans. At the end of the assembly, I felt very confident because my friends knew what is a turban and also what's under it. Many parents came and thanked our family for educating them about our religion. We also served cookies to our entire school.
Thank you, Arnav. Nice job. Next up, Sabrina Desange.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Desange, and I am a junior at Sheldon High School. Going to a school that is quite diverse, I am happy this resolution for Sikh Awareness and Appreciation Month is being put forward by the Elk Grove Unified School District. Cultural awareness is really important for high school students, especially for those who don't feel they are represented. Many of my peers feel neglected and invisible on campus. Having this resolution passed will mean a lot to Sikh students and their families. I hope once this resolution passes, we continue working together to make sure the information and educational materials that are relevant and useful for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. Last on this item, we have Jasroop Gill.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jastroop Gill, and I would like to address the topic of awareness of Sikh people. There are many things to learn from Sikhism, from who we are, where we come from, and what our religion is all about. The main reason we are here today is to educate the kids in the Elk Grove Unified School District about our identity, and a more serious topic, bullying. Our identity is made up of several life experiences, our morals, and our religion. The Sikh people's identity is made up of the same things, but many of those are tangible. Two of the most common would be a steel bracelet on our wrists and a head cover with those on our long hair. With these two things, it is easy to identify who we are. Many other people confuse us with different races from the Middle East. With other kids asking questions of who we are, we would like the authors to edit the 7th grade textbooks so our religion is included. In my 7th grade class, only one sentence was brought up about my religion. Let that sink in. After all, it is the 5th largest religion in the world with 28 million followers and counting. We would like for our school to educate others on this topic, as well as editing textbooks to include our religion. But the biggest topic that is a must inform you on is bullying. With our head covers, many other kids do not understand who we are. When other kids don't understand something, they shun it. My cousin, an immigrant from India, came last year. Didn't know how other kids communicated in America. For a while, he was quiet about making friends with me. But when I addressed him about the topic of bullying, he told me a couple stories of 8th graders picking on him for his head cover, and the only other friends he could make were other immigrants from other nations. Thank you for letting me speak, board members and everyone else in this room.
Thank you. Nice job. Well, before I proceed, I just want to say kids and young people did a fantastic job. It's very helpful for us in doing our job to hear from you, so thank you for coming today.
We need a group picture, please.
We will after we get the resolution adopted.
Mr. Randhawa likes pictures.
Yes, so...
Are we going to have Sue and then, because I do want to say a few things, but did you want to read components of the resolution, or? I have the okay.
So I think she's done with her presentation.
Okay, all right, well, if I'd like to say a few things.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. You know, I'm a proud Sikh American, and every year since I've been on the board, before I joined the board, we did not have such a resolution. It is imperative for every school district in this country to have such resolutions, because it is about inclusion. And young man, you took what could have been something that scarred you. I'm really emotional right now because I'm so proud of you. You took something that could have been terrifying and you turned it into a teachable moment. You took that incident to teach your classmates, your teachers, your principal. Bravo to you for doing that and having the courage, because that takes a lot of guts. And I'm so proud of you, and to your parents for raising such a dynamic young man. And all of you, you were just such tremendous speakers. It is tough being a Sikh in the US today. I'm tired of reading articles about assaults, attacks, murders. They're happening. It's happening out there. And of course, we still have our 2 unsolved murders here in our great city of Elk Grove. We boast about our diversity in our district and in our city. But true diversity includes its inclusion, it's education, it's awareness. Awareness who our neighbors are, who our friends are, who's in our classrooms, who's teaching with us, who are our coworkers. To be enlightened in our community, we're the 5th largest school district. I want us to lead and teach the other school districts of how to do this right, that we do need to put some teeth behind a resolution, that it's not just something that we are recognizing today, but it's truly being realized and implemented with the most basic teachings. I would love to see what you presented in your school, young man. If you can share that with me, I'll give you my card, because I think that we'd all like to see it, but if there are resources, there's no reason for us to reinvent the wheel. The Jakarta movement does great work in teaching about Sikh awareness. And I imagine your slide was very poignant in teaching young kids that it wasn't overwhelming. But we need to have some basic education in our classrooms, not just about Sikh awareness, but of course through our inclusion of all of our cultures and our neighbors, true inclusion. So with ethnic studies and so many different things, but I'm so proud of all of you. Last year we had probably half this, so thank you as your sister, as a proud Sikh American. This is very emotional for me, and I just want to thank you for all that you do in our community. I know that it's hard walking, but I know that our community is a very proud community. We don't back down, we don't hide. We take those dark moments and we teach, we educate, because at the end of the day, Sikhism is about what we say in our prayers. We end every prayer with, it's called Sarbat Tapala. It's blessings to all. It's all, every race, every religion, everybody. So thank you for being wonderful ambassadors for our community. Thank you, and with that, I proudly move this resolution.
Ms. Singh Allen has moved resolution number 26. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Bettis. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Measure passes unanimously. Thank you very much, folks. Now, if you'd like to come up to the riser, and we'll try to get a picture. Thank you. Bobby, would you like to join them?
I think Mr. Mazzawa wanted the entire board.
Let's do it, of course.
It's going in the...
For what?
No.
If I can get the representatives from the Jakarta movement and Aman Dillon to connect with Sue Larson for if you can exchange information for the resources, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
And that's Ms. Larson in the white sweater walking towards the back. Thank you, folks. Next item, Mr. Robert Pierce is going to represent about energy, is going to present on Energy Awareness Month.
Thank you, President Chavez Espinosa, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos, I have to admit that I was very happy that I wasn't preceding all of those important and distinguished items tonight, and now that I'm following it, it's a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
But I just want to share some information with you about our energy awareness campaign throughout our district prior to your adoption of the resolution tonight for Energy Awareness Month. As the board and all of our employees are well aware, in the 2009-10 school year, we began a comprehensive energy conservation program. It is solely based on behavior, and because of that, all of our employees are part of the success. So I'd like to just thank everybody. This program since 2009-10 has had very ambitious goals, and I'll talk about those in just a moment. One important part of this program is if we do reach our goals, the sites also benefit from some of the savings, and we share that savings with the sites. Specifically, our goals for the 2017-18 fiscal year were to save $1.6 million in energy, electricity expenditures, and just south of 12 million kilowatt hours of consumption. The actual savings this year is nearly $2.4 million and over 13.5 million kilowatt hours of consumption. This is a stat that I just like to brag about in my work throughout the state and with other districts, and SMUD gets some of the benefit here. In the 2008-9 fiscal year, we had no program in place, and as a district, we consumed 62.5 million kilowatt hours of electricity. In the 17-18 fiscal year, we only consumed 48,730,000 kilowatt hours of electricity. It's a huge reduction. Not to mention we've grown as a district. We have more schools now, we have more students, more staff, and we're using 14 million less kilowatt hours than we did prior. Overall, since the program began, we have saved nearly $17 million in utility expenses that stay in the general fund, go to programs and services for students and teachers. And another quick comparison for the board today is at our 2008-9 consumption levels and today's energy rates, our bills today should be approximately $9.3 million just for electricity, but we're proud to show you today that they're at $7.2 million. I will be acknowledging all of our great schools that have done really good work in this way before all of the principals at some upcoming meetings. And with that, I would ask you adopt the resolution before you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. I'm not seeing any questions, so I will call for a motion to adopt resolution number 20, designating October 1st through October 31st as Energy Awareness Month. Moved by Ms. Allen, seconded by Mr. Madison. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Thank you very
And
much.
that passes unanimously. Great work, by the way. Thank you. Yeah. Save money, save energy. We like it. Let's see. Next, we have a request for student expulsions. If anyone wishes to address the board in closed session regarding a specific student expulsion recommendation, please let us know. Seeing none, I'm going to call for a motion to approve the request for student expulsions. Moved by Mr. Madison. Seconded by Ms. Allen. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And that passes unanimously. Thank you, colleagues. Next up, we have public comment. And we've got several folks tonight. First up is Ms. Leslie Cannon, who will be followed by Mark Epstein. If we could have, when I let you guys know who the next person is, if we could have you up here in the front of the room waiting in the wings, it'd be very helpful. Thank you, sir.
Hi, good evening. I am Leslie Cannon, the mother of Julian X. Cannon. Julian, back in April when everything happened with him over the earbuds, I had requested some homework and classwork because he had missed some school because he didn't feel safe. It took 8 days for them to respond. So here we are in September, new school year. I requested classwork and homework because Julian has been out of school since September 12th because he doesn't feel safe. I was getting it hit or miss here and there. It was a real struggle, email after email after email after email. And I'm supposed to be asking for this, and maybe they're not used to a parent asking for homework and schoolwork that he's missed. I was giving him heads up how long he was going to be absent. So he turned in a packet of homework on the 17th of September. It took me 4 emails, and it took 14 days for it to get input into the system. I was asking for feedback. How's he doing? Is it right or whatever? Absolutely, I couldn't get that information. And that was only last evening it was put into the system. Absolutely unacceptable. So is there a policy for educators to first one, when a parent requests homework and classwork, what is the policy on a parent getting that information? I need to know, so you can email me. I'm really expecting an answer. What is the policy on them putting it into the system so that student who is out because he's totally doesn't feel safe, he's stressed out, so it's totally exasperating his stress. He's looking on the system and there's nothing in there. So is he doing it for naught? So because of that, Julian has walked away from football. And if you know him, that's big. And because of that, we have walked away from the Elk Grove Unified School District. And Julian is here tonight. He's so disgusted that he can't even talk. He has court tomorrow, so it hasn't ended. No one cares. No one is checking. Everybody keeps saying, we need him back in school. I need the work. I need the work so he can do it. He's willing to do the work, but you won't even give it to me. So we're out of here.
Thank you, Ms. Cannon. Mr. Epstein, and then Elisha Lewis.
Good evening, members, and Superintendent Hoffman, Mark Epstein, California Environmental Technology Education Network. The flyer that is distributing out to you is bringing to you attention of a program being sponsored by the Sacramento County Office of Education with GIS Day this year, as far as doing a workshop specifically targeted for K-12 on November 8th. I want to very much encourage the members of this board to attend that workshop. For 6 of you, it would be an excellent opportunity to bring your knowledge on this technology and its application as an instructional tool up to the same level that Mr. Perez has accomplished over the last few years. So as far as on that, Mr. Hoffman, I think since the last time we talked about on the technology as an instructional tool, which I would say 4 or 5 years ago more in detail, that the strategies have changed as the technology has evolved. It's now more accessible and applicable as an instructional tool, especially now that it is included as part of the new history social studies framework. And even though it's not in the next generation science standards, it's very valuable. Matter of fact, this morning, spent with staff from both the Solano and County Offices of Education as far as with the rollout in the new science adoptions as dealing with technology and materials. And it was noted, as far as I discussed the use of this technology, that it would add, that the couple of folks from the county ed offices felt that it would add to the results or the performance on the CASP test, especially at the 11th grade. So I'm hoping to have you guys and see you guys, and also because of both subject areas, that I would strongly recommend that all the members of both the social studies and science curriculum committees also attend on that workshop. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Epstein. Next up, Ms. Lewis, and after Ms. Lewis will be Laureen Pryor.
Good evening. My name is Lachey Lewis. I'm a social work supervisor with EA Family Services. I'm currently pursuing my doctorate degree in educational leadership for social justice. And my dissertation topic, it will be looking at LCAP plans, specifically looking at foster youth supports and services implemented here in Sacramento School District. I have 8 school districts that I'm looking at. I will also be developing a survey questionnaire and hoping that for you guys' participation in my dissertation topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Best wishes on your doctorate. Come on up, Ms. Pryor. After Ms. Pryor will be Allegra Lewis. Allegra Taylor.
I'm like,
excuse
there's
me.
an Allegra Lewis too?
I'm mixing them all together.
Okay, so first I'd like to start with the good things. So we are extremely excited to be part of the working group, kind of hammering away at the board policies and the administrative regulations. We've been having robust discussions, sometimes challenging one another, but also finding common ground on the best way to move forward. So I'm appreciative of that. Also, I've been invited and I've accepted the invitation to be on the SRO selection panel that's going to be going on tomorrow. So thank you for that. But I continue to be awestruck by the level of culturally incompetent staff and administrators you all employ, and the ones who continue to see the worst in Black students throughout this district. So last week I had the awesome opportunity. It's very much a learning process that I'm in right now. So I had the awesome opportunity to be part of a team of advocates to attend a manifestation determination hearing for one of the students in your district. I think the more troubling thing about the manifestation determination hearing was why we were there in the first place. You had a campus supervisor who took it upon himself to put his hands on a teenage girl, a 14-year-old girl, and it was her reaction that caused her to be charged with 3 separate infractions. And I think it's starting to sound or feel a lot like law enforcement in the way that charges are stacked up on these kids. So she was facing willful defiance. She was facing injury to a school employee and something about foul language. But had he not put his hands on this child, and they cannot tell me a reason why that happened, had he not done what he did, it would not have triggered her to do what she did. And so I think we need to start expecting more from our employees when they're engaging children, especially children on IEPs. So we need to be notifying our staff of certain accommodations and certain things that make these kids tick. I was upset that you had this manifestation determination hearing, which we were supposed to figure out whether her disability had anything to do with her reaction to this man, and they came in unprepared. They came in unprepared and rude. And when you put out rude, you're gonna get rude, especially when dealing with me. And so we left that meeting, and she did return back to school the next day, but we left the meeting and one of your staff decided to refer to me as a bully. I'm not a bully, I'm prepared. And if you're gonna come after our kids, you better be ready to meet the prepared Laureen. And if he wants to talk to me outside of here, he can reach me at laureen.pryor@asm.ca.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pryor. Ms. Allegra Taylor, after which will be Dexter Poe.
So I was a part of that team of advocates that advocated for the child who was accosted by one of your campus supervisors. One of the problems that I'm having with the continued coming back to you all and complaining about the same things, and also working with everybody to try to make these changes, is that the changes are just not happening fast enough. So we've got all this PBIS training, but we don't have any implementation. School's only been in place a month. For us to have received the complaints that we've received already, it says a lot. So all of the training that you guys say that you did over the summer and all this implementation that's gonna be happening this year, we're not seeing the effects of it for our community. One of the challenges that I have with dealing with the schools and dealing with Black children is there's an expectation of Black children that I don't think applies to other children. There's a higher standard. There is something different. We want to see black children treated the same way as every other student that's involved. You all make all of these nice arrangements to protect some of our Latin families. You know, they have the protected group. You know, even when working with the group about the policy, with the SROs on campus and your campus supervisors, we found out that if anybody is accosted through immigration, they're given a book that tells them what their rights are. But yet our black kids have been criminalized, and brown kids been criminalized for a long time in your school district. And not once has anybody been given a copy of what their rights are. So we've demanded that you all provide rights in writing to our black children when you're gonna criminalize them, because they should be entitled to the same rights that the immigration group is entitled to, the knowledge of it. And if they don't have the knowledge, you guys have the material. If you got it for one group, you need to have it for all groups. So as we continue to try to work with this district, we need you to understand it's been since January since we've been coming here. And we're seeing some change, but not enough. We've asked you to let us onto your campus. Why is it that some of your schools don't want us on the campus? What are they afraid of if we come on campus? Why is it that we keep waiting for the invitation to come on campus? Why is it that if we're allowed on campus, your teachers or your administration want to isolate us to a certain area and don't want us to intermingle with your youth? But the youth can come up to us and ask us a question, but we're not supposed to mingle with them. They just want us to sit like pigeons and wait for maybe somebody to come over and talk to us. That's not a proper way for us as community members to assess the climates of your schools. So open up your schools. What are you scared of?
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Not Lewis. Mr. Poe will be followed by Carol Rogers.
I'm a former SRO who worked 12 years for this district. I'm one of the 5 African-American deputies who submitted complaints against the Director of Safety and Security regarding comments made in the presence of others. EGUSD now knows that the Director made the statement Soul Patrol. The Director instructed employees to restrict us, and 5 of us were banned from working Shelton High School. This is shameful. However, your top management's findings in 2 separate investigations, all unfounded. EGUSD's investigator and associate superintendent of human resources did not even interview or re-interview all the first-hand witnesses, and later determined I used the word Soul Patrol. There is a profound shift from the initial investigation of our appeal, of the initial investigation and our appeal. From unfounded, no evidence, to unfounded, he did not mean it in a bad way. In the Channel 13 news interview, EGUSD's position was the use of the term Soul Patrol will be considered racially insensitive and unacceptable. Superintendent Hoffman, you wrote that you are sickened by race and prejudice and bigotry. But now that it has been confirmed that the Director made this horrific, undeniable, race-based statement, the district tells me he did not mean it in an inappropriate manner. Now that is appalling. Today, the Sacramento City College president apologized for not making swift action. Why can't this district do that? The Director is the same person who legally carries a firearm on campuses over and over again, plus puts guns in the hands of unqualified, uncertified civilian employees in this district. Your top management knows this to be true. Do you? In these times where police and community relations are desperately tense, the district has allowed unqualified officers to carry guns on the campuses of 63,000 kids. We have a problem. Members of the board, this is my formal advisement that I wish to appeal the decision made by EGUSD's management and request a meeting to prove our complaints are true. I have since worked EGUSD events to make this one statement. I will not sit in the back of the EGUS bus in this matter. I will not be treated as if it was November 1955. Why November 1955? Because in December 1955, Rosa Parks took her stand. I'm not going to give up my seat because one man told me to go. This is my time to stand. In the military and law enforcement academies, a group of individuals learn to march in unison. The way this is done is because one person is called the guidon. That person is up front and sets the cadence and the pace for the rest. If the rest of the group follows that one person and adjusts themselves properly, then all march in one unison.
Please finish up.
I am looking for one board member to step up and set the pace, to be my guidon in our situation. I'm looking for one board member. I'm looking for one board member to step up and help us with this situation.
Thank you, Mr. Poe. Next up, Carol Rogers, who will be followed by Lily Devaney.
So I'd like to talk about the school-to-prison pipeline, because in the case of Julian Cannon, he's been railroaded into the criminal justice system, and that's completely unfair. And I'm sure that many, many others are getting railroaded in. And it seems to me that the sheriff department, being on campus, is also patrolling a number of streets in this county, and they pick out young black men to target. I see this over and over, and it happens across the country. So I don't want law enforcement officers being involved in targeting our kids for criminal action. I also am a bit frightened by the previous speaker's statement that there are people carrying guns on campus who are not really fully trained and authorized to do that. I am opposed to gun violence. I am opposed to guns on campus altogether. And I hope that you look to dealing with that issue, finding out who that is, and do you know who these people are, and whether or not they're trained, and even if they are trained, what would a teacher on campus do who's already upset with our student for being disruptive, the normal middle school and high school teenager behavior, being a bit disruptive and silly in classrooms, and they get frustrated and yell at them now? What if they had a weapon on them? What if they had that weapon, stuck it in their desk drawer, and a kid got that and fired it off at somebody? You really need to look at this soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Our last speaker on public comment is Ms. Devaney.
Hello again. I thought since I had the opportunity to speak again, I would. What I didn't get to talk about before is in the last 2 weeks since I got my petition going, which is at 480 signatures at the moment, I've had 3 families with children in the district that have needed help come to me because I've been the whole anti-bullying mom. I'm the advocate that they tend to go to now because they don't know what to do. And I'm fine being that person. And I thank you, Bobby, for always being my go-to person to help me with figure out who to send them to. And anyhow, I wanted to share with you one story. This young man actually went to the same middle school that my son went to originally and we had to transfer him out of, which was Kerr. And he was treated the same way my son was treated. And he's been to 2 different high schools now. And his mom was supposed to be here tonight. She says she'll be at the next meeting, but she had a family emergency. Her son was hospitalized 2 weeks ago for cutting himself because he's been bullied so bad. He just didn't know what to do. And she didn't know what to do. And she's even thought about seeking legal counsel. There was another family who came to me last year. Their daughter was cyberbullied. She made the unfortunate choice of sharing a photo she shouldn't have shared with someone, and it spread, and she was cyberbullied, had to transfer to another middle school, and now she's being threatened by a student from her previous middle school to do the same to her at her new middle school. and her mom's at a loss and doesn't know what to do. And the third one is a family who has an autistic child who is trying to get an IEP and things set up and do all the proper protocols, and they're being told it could be 8 weeks to 3 months before they can get an IEP. And that, I know I've had an IEP for my own child before, and that doesn't sound right to me. So I've given them whatever tools I have and told them who to go to and stuff. But these are just some of the stories that I'm getting about kids in our district, families that need help. And so that's what I've been doing. I'm not just standing here talking. I'm actually doing something. I'm willing to work. And whatever committees I could help on, I'm here. I want to do something besides just come and talk to you guys every school board meeting about what's going on. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Devaney. I'm going to do a quick check-in with my colleagues since we've been sitting here for almost 3 hours. Are we good to proceed? Anyone need a break? Proceed. Okay. Next item is the consent agenda.
To call for a motion to approve consent item agendas 1 through 15.
So move. Oh, or
The
second.
item moved by Ms. Albiani, seconded by
Bobby.
Ms. Singh Allen. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. I only heard one aye. Aye. Let's try that again. Consent agenda has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. That passes unanimously. And you guys said you didn't need a break. Okay. All right. Next up, let me make sure I'm not skipping anything. Bargaining units. Are there any bargaining units wishing to address the board? All right. Thanks for being with us. Next up is the report on the LCAP and budget update presented by Mr. Cerruti and Ms. Hayes.
I don't know. It's not there. Madam President,
Yes, sir.
it doesn't seem to be there, but I do have it on a thumb drive. And so maybe if we can flip, I'll just go get the thumb drive, and I'll be right back, and we'll get it installed.
I'm okay with that. Why don't we take a 5-minute break? Do you want a break for that?
Apologies.
It's all right. 5-minute recess, folks.
What's also weird
Mr. Cerruti, are we back in business?
Thank you, and my apologies. It builds the anticipation of
It
the
does. We're
exciting
even more
presentation that
excited
I
now.
have for you. This evening, it's what we do every year, and this is very brief, but it's the formal acknowledgement of the approval by the Sacramento County Office of Education of our LCAP and our budget, and I'm always privileged to be joined by my colleague and friend and partner in the LCAP Fund, Ms. Hayes, our Chief Financial Officer. And so just wanted to start off with the approach that Elk Grove takes, and hopefully all school districts take. We don't start with money and say we've got $100 to spend, how do we want to spend $100? What we do is we have a very systematic approach through what we term the decision-making model, and we analyze input, output, and outcome data, do gap and cause analyses to determine student needs. And then based on those student needs, we utilize the available resources we have in the most efficient and optimal means possible. And we do that to ultimately work toward realizing the district's learning vision. And the district's learning vision is defined, albeit nobody can read what's there, but those posters are everywhere. That's our graduate profile, so that ultimately all of our students are meeting the expectations we have so that they are college and career ready, college, career, and life ready. And so in terms of the LCAP, so on September 17th, 2018 is when the County Office of Education formally acknowledged the approval of our LCAP. And I just wanted to point out that I want to acknowledge the support that we have from the County Office of Education. They continue to be, I consider them partners in the process, and they are exceptional to work with as we're working through our LCAP and budget development, as well as all the stakeholders that we have involved in the process. For this current year, there are 3 things that we are looking at in terms of upgrading and continuously improving our process. One is the ongoing improvement of our site LCAP template. We have 360 feedback loops to ensure that we're getting feedback from our users out in the field as well as the users here at the district office to continuously improve that. And I do want to gloat on that a little bit because that's become standard operating procedure for us. But those site plans that are aligned to the LCAP and to have them as technologically sophisticated as they are that we have, that is not the norm across the state in any way, shape, or form, and we'll continue to improve upon that. Expanding stakeholder engagement resulting in increased feedback responses is what we're doing, and we will have customized stakeholder surveys for the first time this year. Instead of a single survey, we'll have them specific for kids, we'll have it specific for staff, and we'll have one specific for parents and community. And then our continued collaboration and partnership with the County Office of Education. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague and partner.
Thank you. So not real big any comments for our budget. SCOE goes through it with a fine-tooth comb, both through our SACS reports that we submit to them and through the LCAP. The only comment they made was that the district will meet its 2% unrestricted reserve, which is our requirement. This next cycle will prove interesting to see how much money we have. Hopefully there will be more money in the proposed budget going forward. Right now LCFF is fully funded, so we're kind of in a holding pattern as far as what things look like. Things are pretty much known at this point in time. So that's the only feedback we got, which we were excited and we kind of already knew we were getting, and it was expected.
And with that, if there are any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Colleagues, any questions?
Good work.
Yeah, good work.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and sorry for the delay.
Thank you, folks. Next up is our only discussion item of the night. Mr. Craig Murray and Sue Larson will present some information on the new Student Leadership Council.
Thank you, President Chaitis Espinosa, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I'm here with Sue Larson, Executive Director of Educational Services. I'm Craig Murray, and we're presenting to you information on a new Student Leadership Council. And the purpose of this presentation is to provide you an update on the development and implementation of this council, of students to provide greater advocacy and leadership, development to more diverse student groups, and also to provide you an opportunity to provide input into the development of this council.
My turn. So a little bit of background. This has been an interest, really a joint interest. The Board of Education has communicated to us an interest in expanding opportunities for student voice. And the other place where some of this interest came from is really out of our equity strategic planning group. So there is sort of this nice parallel that happened with a group of staff and community, came to the conclusion that we needed to expand opportunities for student voice, and the board has also expressed an interest in this. So we're looking in two areas, and we've already worked to improve the student board reports, and they're very robust, they're very broad, and they're also quite entertaining, as you well know. We're really proud of the students and the way that they've broadened the scope of the things that they present to us at board meetings. And then the second piece is this development of a new student leadership council, which focuses on supporting and developing typically underrepresented students. So why, aside from the reasons that I stated earlier, why should we work on expanding student voice? We really want to make sure that we are continuing to understand how to build student advocacy and leadership development in all of our youth, but specifically the youth that we're talking about with this particular idea. Creating a pathway for underserved students to use their voice. Provide opportunities for kids to dialogue with educators, with mentors, and other student leaders to learn about advocacy and to participate in developing solutions. And then providing authentic student advocacy for students who face significant obstacles in school to make sure that they have access to the resources they need to succeed academically and socially.
So the overall timeline for this process, as Sue stated, this process really began last spring with the development of the concept. Earlier this month, we identified district leads for this, John Dixon from secondary education, and then the program specialists who will be part of the equity work from Sue's office. We are currently in the design phase. We're seeking input from various stakeholders, including you tonight, principals, activity directors, students, and others, to make sure that we get multiple views on what the potential for this council can be. And then once we formulate that, in the fall and winter of 2018, we want to recruit high school students and work with the school sites on how this will look like at their school sites. In winter and spring of 2019, we look to initiate council meetings, and then in fall of 2019, make sure we continue to work on the effective implementation of this group with the school sites and informing us of the district, and also determining if we want to expand this work to middle schools or really keep working on what it looks like at the high school level, and then look down the road about middle school expansion if we feel it's necessary. And again, the next steps, we're going to continue to seek input from a variety of student groups, recruit students from these schools, and then provide further updates to the board through board communications and/or presentations. Okay. So at this time, we'd like to know your thoughts and answer any questions you may have in this process.
So can you give me a little bit more guidance on the type of feedback you're looking for? Are we looking at the purpose of the group? I mean, completely wide open, or what are you looking for
It's
exactly?
pretty wide open this time because we are in the design phase, and we're just looking to get more and more input to make sure we have views and thoughts and concerns for people to help guide us through this design process.
Okay. I'm going to look to my right first. Mr. Madison, do you have any thoughts to share on this?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for bringing it forward. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's probably long overdue that we have student leadership at all the schools. I know we have reports that come in each time we have a board member, but I think this is more getting into the true substance of a school and what's really going on in there. And you mentioned about the underrepresented students. And not only that, if we can have not just the A and B students, but we want the average students in there, the C+ students and a D student that they can voice, because that can rise them up as well, that they are showing participation, that somebody really cares. And I'm going to look more into it. I know you're at the infinite stage. I don't think, have you recruited any students yet? Okay. So we have time to continue our input to you on that. Okay. Thank you.
Continuing to my left, anything?
Hi. I had a short discussion about this earlier, but I think I just want to stress the idea that it's a school-based, bottom-up model that is an additive to the school, and I'm excited about the options of bringing in students that have not been represented before, and that it adds to make all programs successful on campus. I think it has the power to do that, the way we've talked about it.
Mr. Bettis.
Invite me to your first brainstorming committee meeting, please.
This is it. You're at the first brainstorming.
No, I mean, as a group of educators at all levels, I'm serious. I think we had more time, and prep for this issue. I have some ideas. I just want the actual body to meet and discuss this, not just 3 or 4 minutes, but really engage.
Dr. Martinez-O'Leary?
I'm excited about the opportunity, potentially, especially focusing in on students who are underserved and maybe don't always have a voice represented at the table. And so I would hope as part of your recruitment methods, maybe reaching out to different programs like Indian Education, because there is students who represent on that board, but having maybe students at certain school sites also, if they're interested in participating. And then I also would hope maybe your recruitment might come from teachers too in the classroom, is seeing any nominations they might have as students. I just speak from experience being a student myself in high school. Early on, I was nominated for different leadership councils, and this can go a long ways when they're applying to college applications, et cetera, even job opportunities. So I really see a number of ways that this could really help advance and further students' education. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this work group will continue out in the months ahead. Thank you.
All right, very excited to see the new Student Leadership Council. Let's see, a couple of questions. Well, I'll just make some general comments first. I love that it's going to be targeting underrepresented groups. I mean, we currently already have advocacy with ASB and our student athletes and just various other high-performing students. Let's engage the other students. And building that student advocacy, I think, is great. Now, is this going to include middle and high school, or just high school?
So first phase is high school, and we want to see how that works, and we'll look to expand it.
And then expand it?
Yeah.
So that conceivably someone can start in the 7th grade and matriculate all the way to 12? I mean, possibly, would they automatically get to participate, or do you have to be invited every year?
I don't think there's going to be, if somebody wanted to participate in a group like this, I think we want to be inclusionary.
To see it possibly through, based on the student's interest? Not having to reapply or re-engage?
Yeah, vote or anything like that, yeah.
Well, I think we're going to get, truly, from my perspective, a more authentic representation of culture and climate. This, for me, triggers things like Rachel Francois and some of the stuff that was easily overlooked. And if there was such an organization, we could have addressed those more proactively. So I'm very excited about that. In terms of recruitment, it's going to be as good as the recruitment. Is this self-identified students? I mean, I imagine we're going to look at various ways. That my comments would be explore all opportunities, that it's student-driven, but also teachers who will know their students because they know their students may also help target some students to participate. And really looking at making this truly inclusionary and very diverse in its nature. What I would suggest maybe is something to look at, because my son was a part of it, and it's the student rights movement. What the group of students did at Cosumnes Oaks High School because of things that they saw, and worked with administration, and they were successful in some of the changes. But just some of the things that they were looking at. I remember getting a report from the students, and there was a lot of great work in there from the students. So it is maybe, if you're looking at ideas, there is a body of work from the students that is worth looking at. And then also a big fan of what's happening at Laguna Creek High School. I believe they call it like a social justice league or a social justice group or something along those lines. I'm not saying that this student student leadership council is necessarily a social justice-like group, but the group that it is made up of, I imagine it's going to be very similar to this. So you might want to look at that as how did that group come to be, who's in it, and who's involved, because I know that they do a lot of great work in getting the students engaged, and they're not your typical ASB students and things like that. So there's a great example over there now. Other than that, I think that we have a tremendous opportunity to get authentic engagement from our students. Not to say the other isn't authentic, but when it comes to culture, climate, for students to have ownership of their campus, their schools, and sort of be actively involved, this is going to, from my perspective, go a long way as one more platform to be involved. So I'm very excited to see how this develops as well. Thank you.
I want to associate myself with all of the comments made by my colleagues about authenticity and substance. That's very important. I think it's also important that we be very clear about the purpose of this group and how it differs from other opportunities for student leadership. Personally, I think its purpose should be related to equity. That should be the goal, if you will, of these students. I'd love to see them gain some skills that will be helpful to them while they're in high school and later on in their further pursuits. What I see in this generation of students is an eagerness to produce real change, meaningful change, adding value, starting in their own community, which is their school. So I would hope we can provide them with opportunities to do that. And through successes of that type, I think it can become a very empowering experience, and that's what I'd like to see, right? That's how these leadership programs produce longer-term change in the students we're trying to reach, to really empower them. I also think it's important that we provide clarity to whoever is doing the outreach or the nomination of students on the profile of the type of student that we want for this. And it's especially important that we, again, are not duplicating other leadership opportunities, but that we're clear that, again, you don't have to be in the top 10 students in your graduating class for this. We need to see some kind of communication or leadership potential, but that that this group does have a special focus and a special mission. So that's all of my input. Thank you for the opportunity.
Follow-up comment?
Go right ahead.
Because this is another sort of leadership council opportunity, I know that there will be sensitivities with pre-existing leadership, so on how to sort of mitigate that potential tension, I think will be very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Next up, Mr. David Riley is going to present a few items, starting with the interim principal employment agreement.
Good evening once again, President Chairus Espinoza, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. Excuse me. This item covers the board's discussion and possible approval of an interim principal employment agreement with Mr. Jason Campbell to serve as interim principal of Helen Carr Costello Elementary. Effective January 1, 2017, SB 1436 requires, pursuant to the California Government Code Section 54953C3, that a verbal summary of the proposed compensation and fringe benefits be given to the public prior to final board action on an employment agreement. Accordingly, the proposed interim principal employment agreement contains the following material terms. 1, the term of the interim school principal employment agreement with Mr. Campbell is from September 10th, 2018 to June 30th, 2019. I'm sorry, June 30th, 2019. At the end of the term of this interim agreement, Mr. Campbell has return rights to his prior position. 2, salary effective September 10, 2018, and for the term of this agreement, Mr. Campbell shall be placed on Class 205, Step 10 of the 2018-19 EG Teams Management Salary Schedule Number 18. Class 205, Step 10 of the salary schedule is $124,565. 3, fringe benefits. For the term of this interim agreement, Mr. Campbell shall be entitled to such benefits as are provided to EG Team's employees, as those benefits may change from time to time. This concludes the summary of the interim principal employment agreement. A complete copy of the interim agreement is an attachment to this agenda item. Also, a copy is available from the district office upon request.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. I'd like to call for a motion to approve the interim principal employment. I'm sorry, was there a question?
Yeah, I had a question on the term. You said from September 10th to June 30th, 18?
2019. It's
Okay, this is wrong.
typo, and I corrected it verbally for the record.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear
I
you.
apologize for that.
Okay, thank you.
Let the record show there's a typo in the document, and the correct dates were, can you restate them, Mr. Riley?
Yes, the length of the term is September 10, 2018 to June 30th, 2019.
Thank you, sir.
With that, I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Madison, seconded by Dr. Martinez O'Leary. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Next item, Mr. Riley.
Okay. This agenda item covers the board's discussion and possible approval of an interim vice principal employment agreement with Mr. Matthew Gibson to serve as the interim vice principal of Edna Beatty Elementary School, effective January 1, 2017. SB 1436 requires, pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953C3, that a verbal summary of the proposed compensation and fringe benefits be given to the public prior to final board action on an employment agreement. Accordingly, the proposed interim vice principal employment agreement with Matthew Gibson contains the following material items. 1, term. The term of the interim vice principal employment agreement is from September 10, 2018 to June 30th, 2019. And we have the same typo there, so that needs to be June 30th, 2019. At the end of the term of the interim agreement, Mr. Gibson has return rights to his prior position. 2, salary. Effective September 10, 2018, Mr. Gibson shall be placed on Class 195, Step 1 of the 2018-19 EG Team's Management Salary Schedule, number 18. Class 195, Step 1 of the salary schedule is $95,393. 3, fringe benefits. For the term of the interim agreement, Mr. Gibson shall be entitled such benefits as are provided to EG Team's employees, as those benefits may change from time to time. This concludes the summary of the interim vice principal employment agreement. A complete copy of the agreement is an attachment to this agenda item. Also, a copy is available from the district office upon request.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Any questions? With that, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the interim vice principal employment agreement. Moved by Ms. Singh Allen. Seconded by Ms. Albiani. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are we?
Thank you.
Are we?
Thank you.
That was an aye, right? That's what I thought. Measure passes unanimously. Go ahead, Mr. Riley.
Okay. Next, resolution to reduce classified positions. The board is asked to adopt the attached resolution to reduce classified positions due to lack of work, lack of funds pursuant to Education Code Sections 45115, 45298, 45308, and 45117.
I'd like to call for a motion to adopt resolution number 28 for school year 2018-19, authorizing the governing board to eliminate said classified positions.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Madison.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Singh Allen. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Riley.
Thank you.
Next up, we are at board member and superintendent reports. I'm going to look to my left. Ms. Singh Allen?
I have a report. The PI group met, Partners in Education, last week. We discussed Arbinger, trainer of trainers training, safety committee, and then we are tasked with coming up with possible new topics as a group to work on, because we've worked on comparability study, Arbinger work, and so on. So looking at some shared interests on things to discuss. And then I have a CalTurn presentation with our superintendent. CalTurn is the California Teacher Union Reform Network. We will be presenting, well, actually majority of it is, 90% of it is going to be our superintendent. We have Susan Davis with EG Teams, Jennifer Ballerini, AFSCME, Maggie Ellis with EGEA, and then myself. And that's next week.
Nice work.
Yay, I get to fly. Woohoo. Yes.
All right, going on down the line. Dr. Martinez O'Leary, anything else for board reports? Nope. Seeing none. Mr. Bettis, Ms. Albiani.
I think our CSBA thing.
Want to do other items from the floor?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Mr. Madison? Okay, all right. Seeing none, I'm going to go back this way for other items from the floor. Mr. Madison? I was going to ask you.
I just wanted to let you know, the chairman and I, sitting on a CSBA equity network that's been recently set up. It'll be a series of 2-day events, and it'll include some new things we haven't done. There's some schools there that have been working on equity a little longer than we have that I'm starting to become good friends with to try to learn everything I can. So it's going to be a new experience for us, and hopefully a big learning time. It's spread out through the rest of the school year. So as we learn different things, we'll come back. We spent a lot of time on the equity as it is. I felt we spent good time forming as a group, forming a safe spot, but I don't think we went a lot past where we are as a district yet, but that's where the goal is. So it made me feel good about the work we have been doing.
I'll just add to that. No, and you know, it also showed just in the 2 days that we did spend that we are ahead of some of the others in the group. So 10 districts across the state are participating, and the idea is that, you know, Beth and I and Mr. Superintendent, who's also going to be participating at least one of these meetings, will bring something back that'll help us further our equity work here in the district. So we're pretty excited about getting better at that. Going on down the line with more other items from the floor. Go ahead, Mr. Pettis.
Yes, I just want to make an announcement to the community. Today is the first day of open period for college-bound students to apply for FAFSA, a federal student loan program, as well as many grants and scholarships. We encourage all students to apply, so please contact your local high school counselors.
There's actually a FAFSA app. There's a mobile app starting this year, so even better. Go ahead.
And then following that, the CSU and UC application are open right now for period for next fall. So it's till November 30th. That's the deadline for students to apply to the colleges. Another item from the floor I wanted just to mention was that I attended a group which is called an Intersegmental Pathways for Native American Students Committee meeting. And at that meeting, Dr. Luke Wood came out and presented to our group of educators some statistics and some data he has pulled on Native American students and suspension rates. So he's working right now on an article. He's asked our Intersegmental Pathways group that I'm a part of. I represent the community college, but there's numerous other members a part of that group to share information. So Indian education programs from Sac City, our Indian education program from Elk Grove, Sierra College, UC Davis, Sac State. There's a lot of representation at that meeting. So they are drafting an article, so that will be coming out soon down the pipeline. And he's also doing further research on, I want to say, special education, students with disabilities, and so that's going to be coming down as well. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. There will be an article written about Native American student suspension rates and identified what districts have the highest rate for those students.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez-O'Leary. Anything else, Ms. Allen? So I just wanted to mention that although the board and many of us will have the pleasure of seeing Ms. Donna Cherry at our special meeting, this is her last official regular board meeting after having been with the board for 25 years. So thank you very, very much for your service to our students. And with that, meeting adjourned at 8:22.